great state to do that. But that's a kind of Canadian thing too, I find. It's a religious thing too. Certainly when I was in a very steeped in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we were always talking about an attitude of gratitude that'll get you through everything. But I also found it gets you into a state sometimes of total ineptitude. It sometimes puts you into a state where you don't really want to rock the boat either. And I think there's a real fine line there, because I think that if I had not rocked the boat about the breech issue, if I had not stood up to a few physicians, if I had not done the travel that I did in order to really find out these things, I would just be sitting at my home going, I'm just going to have an attitude of gratitude that the physicians let me come into the hospital and do what I need to do. I think we need to be social activists. I just absolutely believe we need to be social activists. The way I've watched aspiring midwives coming into midwifery has been always a very interesting for me, because I found that the aspiring midwife either really wants to embrace the sacred act of birth and wants to transform every woman's life into revelation. And then some midwives are not really there. They really want to go to the best midwifery school, they want to do research, they want to look smart, they want to dress in suits, and they really want to impress people. And I always think that anybody coming into midwifery from either of these directions is really going to be sadly disappointed. Because if you are genuinely trying to transform a woman's life at the time of birth, and you're coming with your candles, I come with candles, but not everybody wants to transform their life because they just want to have a baby. Sometimes they're having their fourth, and these young students arrive and they're just bustling over with interest in helping this woman through this. And it's just not working. And I've actually had an apprentice who left me and left midwifery because she just felt that women weren't coming around on her issues. But then the midwife who's really trying to become a really famous midwife in a society where the dominant profession is medicine, she's going to be sorely disappointed because she's not a doctor. She's always going to be what the doctors consider an underdog. And for me, midwifery is not the underdog at all. Midwifery is a much higher calling. In fact, I said that to a young woman once. I had a woman whose I did a few births for her. She'd had 2 cesarean sections. She blamed it on her parents. You always got to blame it on somebody. She blamed it on her parents because they were both doctors, and she felt that she had been hoodwinked into having cesarean sections because she just thought it seemed to be the best thing to do at the time. And she became an apprentice with me after watching me at a kiosk one day. She was sitting about 2 seats over. I didn't know she'd been listening to me all day talking to women about birth. And she worked up the entire day to come over and talk to me and said, if I get pregnant again, would you do my birth? And I said, sure. So we did. She'd had 2 sections. We did it at home. We did the 3rd and 4th baby at home. And she became an apprentice. And after about the 2nd baby, I remember turning to her mother, who came in, and I had just met her for the first time, and I said, so what do you think about your daughter having home birth and becoming an apprentice midwife? And her mother just looked at me and she said, well, I'd always thought my daughter was going to be a doctor. I don't know about this midwifery stuff. I had my first baby in England. I didn't use the midwives. I just thought it was odd. And I said, oh, okay. I was just taken aback. So I said, well, she's becoming midwife. I think she thinks she's found a higher calling. Of course, that didn't go over very well. But she'd found a higher calling. I really do think it's a higher calling, but I do think that what we have as midwives, what we need to be doing as midwives, is not pretending that we're trying to create a better profession than anyone else. I don't think we need to be trying to prove to women that are trying to only discover the sacred act of birth. I think what we need to be is, I think we need the essence of certified nurse midwives, midwives that are not legal, midwives that have become CPMs, midwives that are CMs, all of those midwives. The major thing we have in common is we want to help women get what they want. And that is social activism, whether it be telling physician in the middle of his scalpel about to cut a episiotomy that, excuse me, but I really think that this woman doesn't want that. And that's hard to do, you know, when you're trying to have a good relationship with the doctor. I think when your local midwives are pounding on some midwife and trying to pretend that they're better than she is and how could she possibly have let this baby get to the point where the baby needed a transport, and they would have transported earlier, right? Oh, that's always easier in hindsight. If you don't stand up to those midwives bullying another midwife, that's a problem. Like, we need to be social activists to help each other and help the women to get through this stuff.
I love how you come around to midwifery every time. Yes. Okay. Do you want to do some more of these? Do you feel?
Yeah,
like
I'm fine. I'm good about this. Yeah.
So being mindful. I filmed a bunch of bees over in Maui, bees on flowers. So this has got a little bit of a metaphor pun thing here with the bee. How does taking responsibility to become informed and knowledgeable help mothers and fathers become accountable and make wise choices for themselves and their children? And I think kind of it's also about social activism in some ways, because what I see anyways is people doing things totally different than their sisters, their mothers, their grandmothers, their friends, and they have to really step out of a comfort zone when they do that, you know. And a lot of them are watching some simple film like Business of Being Born. It's a huge percentage of people that shift into midwifery care.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of a sudden they're doing something that's so different from their whole family. And, you know, I mean, it takes a certain amount of self-directed, you know, not caring about the status quo or about what has gone before, but just really thinking for themselves for the first time sometimes, you know, and exploring a new path. And I think just from the perspective of somebody who's really not knowledgeable about all the things that are out there. So what would you have to say about that, you know, to these mothers and fathers, if you were speaking to these mothers and fathers about becoming, you know, informed and not just sort of blindly following, oh, the doctor says I have to do this, so I do it. What's just something that you could say to those parents if they were watching this?
I'm dealing with this on a very I'm dealing with the issue of trying to help young women take a path of taking charge of their health and taking charge of their lives. I'm dealing with it with my own kids right now, because both my sons have married very conservative young women who have never really thought about having a home birth. And one of them is a nurse anesthetist who asked my son, well, why would you want to ever have a baby without an epidural? So my son says, where would I start, Mom? I'm going, okay, let's see, how can I go back 15 years and try to help this young woman get out of the culture that she has been inducted into? It's a very hard question. I do believe on an inherent level that most people do think that normalcy does involve getting into the dirt and doing things in a way that nature intended. I have to believe that on an inherent level because I'm human. But we have a great social structure. Every culture has it. When I work with the Inuit in Pangnirtung, they all deliver on their back. You know how a person delivers depending on which settlement they're coming from. And it has to do with the way their grandmothers and people taught them, you know. So I I think the thing we need to do with young women is I think we need to get to them sooner. I teach at the university, actually. I teach women's studies. I made a choice to teach women's studies so that I could get to women who are just before their childbearing age. They're in childbearing age, but they're not having their babies yet, if they're in university, hopefully yet. And they get indoctrinated over a good, 13 weeks. They come out of there realizing that the medical profession and the way the healthcare structure is set up, the health system is set up, is not necessarily one that will capture the best way for them to create a healthy environment for themselves. They have to realize that the medical profession I think the medical profession has moved way too soon now into children's lives. And now they govern menstruation. Now they're trying to do immunization for HPV. There's lots of ethics about that. One of the ethicists and epidemiologists at McGill University has really spoken out about this, saying, why is this suddenly an epidemic that we're trying to get rid of? Like, why is it the pharmaceutical companies have moved into this one so quickly? And even if the vaccine works, even if with all those things, the real message here is you can't spend any of your life without being entirely dependent on the medical world. And that's a problem. So if you start with your menstrual cycle moving into feeling like you need to see a doctor every 6 months, and then you become pregnant and you think you have to see a doctor immediately, it means that normalcy is not really there. I'm not a great believer in needing to see a woman absolutely every month of her pregnancy. I do it because we're supposed to do that. But I really think that what she needs is centering pregnancy. I think it's far better for her to be sitting with a bunch of women, which is what they did in the Middle Ages and what they did in Guatemala and what we did when we were in the 70s. We sat around with other women exploring our bodies and finding out what it is that we wanted to know about them. And that's so much healthier way to develop a community than to be isolated in your house and then suddenly when you think that if you ever have a problem, you will have it taken care of by a doctor, as opposed to preventing any problem by developing a good, healthy relationship with your body.
It just all comes around, doesn't it? It all comes around to that idea that.
Oh, let me tell you something else. When healthcare professionals have agency and define reality and the terms of engagement, then women become stigmatized into being helpless and needing advice, needing the physicians to control our lives. And it becomes a real problem. And women also become subjugated to the physician or the dominant class telling them what they should be doing, even though this supposed autonomous ideal of informed choice is around.